So in 2013, I saw a map of Nigeria. And I wanted to actually, I forgot, I wanted to have it displayed before now. And it was a map of Nigeria that showed about 5 or 6 different parts of Nigeria. You know, it was the first time I was seeing it, and for me it looked a bit strange because it showed a part of the northern part of Nigeria as Arewa Republic, the Middle Belt as the Middle Belt Nation, showed the Oduduwa Republic, showed the Niger Delta, I think they called it the Niger Delta Nation, and then the Biafra. And I remember looking at it then and just laughing it away, 2013, that, well, that's never going to happen. You don't divide a country into 5 different entities. I mean, not a country like Nigeria. And fast forward, election 2015 happened, and then, I was away from Nigeria 2019 and part of 2020, largely away. Again, what took me out of Nigeria was simply because I gotten to a point where I no longer could figure out what on earth was going on with Nigeria. Because I felt that everything we had thrown at this thing, the Leviathan called Nigeria, was just taking our punches and staring at us right in the face. We had protested, I've done activism, advocacy, used church platform, dragged elders out of their comfort zone. People like Pastor Wally then would disturb them. You are not saying much, you need to talk. And you did all of that, and then 2015 came, you felt that, okay, let's put all of this effort together to let's even get a party and a government out and get another one in. So for the first time, our generation rallied, used all, whatever we called influence, finances, social media, strategy, campaign. We did everything. Say, let's get another government in power. Once we do it, our problem is solved. We believe this one, let's even try. At the end of the day, democracy is an evolution of ideas, evolution of people, and evolution of powers. So let's try another, an evolving part of this one. So we did, and of course, you know what that means. A new government came in, and 3 years down the line, people will have conversations like, what did you guys do? Were you not part of the people that spoke? Were you not part of the people that led? Were you not part of the people that, And the truth is that given every single information that was available to many of us at that time, if you were to ask, would you do the same thing and make the same decisions again? The answer is 100% yes. Because there was nothing to show that there was going to be another side of it. So given the information that was available at the time, but of course, would you do the same thing now? There will be different answers to that question. People had opportunities to step out and go into government then, and so many of us, we just simply went back to work. We went back to what we knew how to do. For those that either you're part-time pastor, you went back to preaching. For those who are business people, you went back to your business. And we just, in fact, I remember somebody called me and said, Kola, you spent like 3 years trying to build an organization called Gem Voices to get competent people into government. And somehow, in like 2 years, we got to where we were meant to get to in that roadmap in 2023. That was also supposed to be by 2015. And so when you're coming from that kind of place, you sort of need to step back and say, you know what, you can't continue to do the same thing again and again and expect a different result. Einstein calls it folly. And so that's where I've been. So when I saw that map, I absolutely, said it was not possible. Then fast forward to 2019 and 2020. What I thought wasn't possible in 2013 and 2014 and we're now in 2021 is ever so possible now. It's a reality of a 5 nation within a nation than we have ever known before. We had never been this close to, and for those that know me very well, I say the truth. And I go by data. I always say that, the only 2 things I trust is one, God and data. They don't lie. And so by every indices and every data available to us right now, This is the closest we've ever come to disintegration as a nation. And when you look at the probability of that happening, that every nation that the British had put together when the British Empire was running, there are only 2 countries that are standing out of all of them: Trinidad and Tobago and Nigeria. Every other one has gone their separate way. India, Pakistan, Sudan, South Sudan and Northern Sudan, most recent one, and we've seen that happen a lot. But something has been keeping Nigeria together so far. I believe there's an invisible hand on Nigeria that hasn't allowed us to go that far. But you see, there are certain conversations that must be had if that invisible hand will remain. And I'm glad that this platform is providing that opportunity. And I'll highlight 2 of them very quickly. There is a concept of what you call the original sin. And the original sin, the idea when you look at it from the scripture, is Adam and Eve eating the apple. That changed and altered the course of creation and everything God wanted to achieve with that. But in economics, there's also a concept called the original sin. One, for Nigeria, we have 2 main original sins, 2 sins that we've committed. And many people say, don't focus on the past, let's just focus on how we move forward. But the truth is that unless you query the data from the past, you cannot chart a course for the future. You have to look at it. So one of the first major original sin happened in 1914. 1914 was the amalgamation of 2 very different people. Whether we like it or not, that's what I was asking. So obviously, that's something I can't say, but a town hall would allow us the opportunity to look at the amalgamation of 2 different people. Very different in terms of mindset, very different in terms of belief system, very different in terms of even geographical environment, very different in terms of landmass, very different in terms of interest, different in terms of economic position, very different. And that's the North and the South. And someone's bright idea for administrative efficiency, which what it really was, if you read the dual mandate of Lord Lugard, the only reason for the fusion of the North and the South together was that it was written in Lord Lugard's mandate, and I quote, "Your Majesty the Queen, it has become pertinent that the Southern Protectorate and the Northern Protectorate of Nigeria be fused together so that there is a central remittance system for the Niger area, which is called Nigeria." So it was an administrative efficiency that it was set up. But let's move it further. There was also another one that was, again, I quote, by Lucas, again a British general, who said, "Now, Your Majesty, we have concluded the marriage of the 2 entities, of the Southern Prince, the Southern Princess and the Northern Prince. May their union," and I'm paraphrasing, "may their union be fruitful." And again, the idea about this fusion was not for economic development. The idea of the fusion was not for people development. It was purely administrative. It was to make it efficiency for the British. So that was a major sin. But can we dwell on that sin and say because we were fused together, therefore we remain completely apart? I don't advocate for that. But however, there must be a place for, the same way the United States of America agreed as the number of states that they have, 52 or 56, coming together to say every single year we will review the state of the union. That we have a union, that we agree as a people. All of us. Don't forget that the US also had their own issue of South and North. They fought a war, brutal civil war, presided over by Abraham Lincoln. But every single year, the president goes to the House, the Senate, and delivers the State of the Union to say, our union today, this is what it looks like. And so you hardly ever hear a statement in the US around the fact that our coexistence is sacrosanct. You never hear statements like it is non-negotiable. For those in business, there's nothing as non-negotiable. And these are inconvenient truths that might get some of us in trouble. You might not like to talk about it, but there's nothing that is non-negotiable. In fact, what leaders to do is to have inconvenient conversations, to renegotiate the terms and conditions by which we've been fused together. Because it was never negotiated. So when you look at so that was one major sin. The second one was that just as we were coming out of 1960 Independence Day, which was today, which, by the way, October 1st was not when we really got independence. So we had gotten independence from like literally 1958 when the transition government just took 2 years to hand over power. And really, September 30, power had been handed over privately, behind. What happened on October 1st was ceremony. So really, but we admit that today is the day of independence. Now, when you look at a few years after that, 8 years after that, we had a major civil war. And I don't want to go into the details of the civil war, but what caused the civil war at that time has not stopped now. The same thing that made some people say that caused a coup and then a counter coup that eventually led to a civil war, they haven't stopped. So the agitations you see from the different sides have now made the map that I saw in 2013 a closer reality now than it ever was. It's much more so now than it ever was, right? So therefore, we discovered oil. That was the second original sin. Original sin, in fact, that's the economic original sin. Economics will tell you that the moment you discover a raw material, that you didn't do anything to apply or what you could call add value to that raw material so that the raw material can then in turn add value to people, it shifts attention from development simply to exploitation. And that's what we've seen. It's an anomaly that the Niger Delta region of Nigeria, where oil was discovered, is one of the worst places to live in, not just in Nigeria, but in the world. That the same oil that built Dubai has not built Niger Delta. I'm not talking about not built Nigeria, not built Niger Delta. So that second original sin, what did it do to us? It shifted our focus from what really is the wealth of nations, people. So the wealth of nations really is not in raw material, because raw material itself in its simplest form is useless. Because there's no nation that has moved from third world to first by raw material. Not a single one on record. Nations move from third world to first world through productivity, high level of productivity. The worst way to achieve productivity is through raw material development. There's none. Dubai is not even insulated. It's not a nation. It's part of the United Arab Emirates, but we refer to one part of. By the way, they are not even a first world country yet. But so no nation has moved from. If raw material was how nations move from third world to first, then Liberia should have moved from third world to first with diamond. Then South Africa should have moved from third world to first with major gold mine. Then Ghana should have done the same. Then Nigeria should have been at the forefront of that. If that is even the case, Saudi Arabia should have moved from third world to first, simply because it has one of the largest deposits of oil. So you agree with me that raw material itself in its simplest form is raw. Therefore, human capital that we shifted our focus from the moment we found oil has now led to a place now where we've built a nation that is highly polarized, deep economic inequality, and extreme poverty. My time is up. This is supposed to just set the context for a conversation. And I have some ideas to share, but this I'm hoping will provide the foundation for a difficult conversation that we might have of two original sins, the fusion of two very different people, and the discovery of something that has not moved us forward, but set us back big time. Thank you very much.